Good day, everybody, and welcome to yet another session of Unleash with FTEM, Unleash with From the Expert's Mouth.
But reaching in Calicut, when I saw people and when I saw them, they were passionate on few things. That is where the journey took a major turn. And of course, then I joined a company called Bosch. And the whole philosophy of Robert Bosch, which says, I will rather lose money than the reputation, this was echoing in my mind. So I did not see any conflict between business and social good. So that was my luck. Just after my IIM Bangalore, education, I started building Hela, especially from the consumer segment and then from the SOE segment. We call it special original equipment. Both grew because of this, good, I will say, social entrepreneurship.
This is very interesting because it kind of flies against the conventional thinking that social causes and business causes do not need to be at odds. Although that is the conventional way of thinking, that either you have a purpose or you have profits. But you could actually combine both in a synergistic way. And I think one needs to be creative to at least figure out how that synergy can be brought about. And I'm sure, that was the turning point in Hela's history, turning from an almost insolvent situation to, back to regaining the market leadership. And I can see, a lot of the awards that are behind you.
I think the world is understanding this. If you see the ESG movement now, it talks about bringing ESG, the whole social development goal or SDG in the business. Because business is what? Is the most efficient engine. And if you take away the social good from the most efficient engine, then the world does not get, the planet does not get what it deserves to get. So business in current time is the most stable organization, is the most performing organization, most efficient organization. So rather than the separating, and some, lower economy of scale NGO does a job, I think businesses itself can build a sustainable development goals in their own day-to-day work. And as you rightly said, it needs creativity.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, we did not innovate product. We basically innovated the whole business model. So the business model innovation is the need of the hour so that you make profit. And this profit at the same time is also sustainable by creating or solving a social problem. And we have proven that happens. And I see many companies, in fact, all the large organizations and, celebrated organizations, whether Fortune 500 or, those who are celebrated, you will see they all started with a big purpose. They all had the social upliftment in their mind, the founder, the inventor. So I was impressed with Robert Bosch, for example. So that whole, starting point, of course, when it becomes so large, maybe not everybody gets it what this company is for. But in a small company like ours, this is the benefit you get. You drive it in a way that the purpose is known to the last guy. In fact, many times when I go to headquarters in Germany, my boss was, Rama, you are very lucky that when your kids will ask you, what do? You can tell them. You'll not tell them I'm going for a meeting, I'm having a large conference or whatever. You tell them you're saving life of people on road. And what a powerful message you'll give to your kids. And this is true with all our employees. And that's why we became Great Place to Work company, because our pride became very, very high.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, this is easier said than done. You're really making it sound very simple. But, throughout my corporate life, I've seen companies just struggle with this big time. And even though everybody does understand that, having a purpose-led organization is the most valuable thing you can do. But as you rightly said, cascading that, culture through all the levels of the organization for the last man on the ground to identify with that purpose is something which is an extreme rarity, I would say. Kudos to your leadership and, to the rest of the organization who's managed to do that.
The whole management team was very clear. We did this Blue Ocean strategy together. I still remember when we got it, we like, Eureka, we got something which really will drive us. And this was a strategy meeting which lasted the whole night. And we were in the morning, 5 a.m., we were in the guest house. And again, 6:30, everybody said, no, now we have got a convergence. Let's all come back. And everybody was back. And then we put this technology of tomorrow for the life of today on Indian roads as our driving factor. So you know what happens at a macro level, there is always, everybody would like to do something good, everybody would like to have a meaning. But when it comes to micro level, the interests are diverse. This is where the creativity has to come. That how do I satisfy my investors, how do I satisfy my board, how do I satisfy my employees? They are fine with all the big purpose, but if they are not getting the salaries, their increments and their growth, then it is a no go. So this balance is extremely difficult. As you rightly said, it is it is in saying I can seems like okay, it was smooth, but the journey was never smooth.
Right.
Lot of issues. Every time it was almost like on the brink of now it will not work out. Now will be proven wrong. Now, so every time it used to be like will be proven wrong. No, this does not go and this is or either you do business or you do
Right.
social good. It was always looking like that. But by grace of God, I think we had that creativity to push ourselves and find a solution for a customer. For example, when this tail light did not fly, we made this value selling posters for our so the OEMs were not giving us orders, so we went to aftermarket. Then we went to a customer like VRL, all these fleet owners, and
Right.
we showed to the fleet owners that if you spend 50 rupees per month on a bulb by changing, multiply by 12, it's 600 rupees, and you say you have 300-400 rupees of this assembly set of the tail light. It costs you 1,000. I give you 5-year warranty. First time in the lighting industry, we big 5-year warranty on a tail light which is broken all the. So everybody
Yeah.
said, "Are you fool? Why are you doing that?" We said, "We are confident on this. 5 years warranty. Every tail light was etched with serial number like your laptop or anything with laser etched, so that we can figure out if there is a crash with those tail lights on the truck. Even now you are sensitive on this. When you go on highway, try to see those real signaling lights, and you'll see this will be LED-fied. These are all we started. So it was very difficult. Later we told these fleet owners, please write to OEMs that you need trucks only when these LED lights are fitted, and they did that. They
Right.
send it, and that is where from bottom we drove that change on the top level. Otherwise a
Right.
buyer in a OEM will not go out of his budget or his quota.
Right.
They have a boundary to how to align them. But then they created this value. That's why they announced in their publicity also, it is their top 5 USP, because they had to pay initially for a higher amount. So that whole
Right.
campaign, like Intel inside, we said Hella safety inside. That's how we started the awareness campaign.
Okay, okay. So yeah, that's also very interesting. And when you're trying to drive change, especially when you're trying to drive behavioral change, which is of course, much more deep-seated and hence much more difficult to bring about, then it is important also to realize which is the stakeholder that you can or is most amenable to change. So in your case, you figured out that OEMs are probably not as likely to change until and unless their end customers actually drive that, demand, or they have that pull factor. So instead of pushing your way through, you got a pull from the grassroots level, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, I think that's also an interesting learning for people who are struggling in their change journey, and it can get very frustrating, as you mentioned. It's a very difficult journey, and when you achieve success in hindsight, everything looks good. But when you
Yeah.
are on that journey and you are continuously facing these bottlenecks, sometimes you just have to sit back and kind of switch your frame of reference. Are you trying to address the right stakeholder? Are you trying to address the right problem? Are you looking at the problem the right way? So, speaking about the end customer in our case, which is the people who are watching this episode, I think there are two takeaways. One of which you've already indicated, charity begins at home. The second takeaway is something I want to discuss in greater detail with you. A lot of people feel strongly about various causes. It may be road safety, it may be climate change, it may be saving the environment, it may be trafficking, it could be anything. But we all, or at least a lot of us, have that feeling that, we have an important job to do. We have to feed our family. Our jobs are very stressful. It takes away, 12 hours of my daily time. It impedes into my weekend, etc., etc. And it becomes a binary question of whether I do my job or if I'm able to do something for, let's say, a social cause or a passion uh, that I have, which may or may not exactly be related to what I'm doing in my day-to-day job. So, how would you suggest that people navigate this sort of thought process and what can they do in a more practical way to kind of sail in both boats at the same time?
First of all, I think it is not two boats. Huh? It is same boat.
Yeah,
I
in the
realized,
minds, yeah. So in the minds of
yeah,
people, it is two boats.
exactly. So I realized it. I was lucky enough. I tell you that my life changed at NIT Calicut. And this or the in either this or that is a question always in our mind. Forget about now what job you perform and what cause you champion. Let's look at our college life. All of us had the choice, and many of us felt it's either your curriculum or it is your extracurricular activity. It was, to me, it was like everybody was telling, oh, if you go there, then you'll have some compromise on curriculum. I really got it right in my college days, and I was championing both. For me, and was important. In fact, my professor used to give examples how I can manage both. And I saw that one was feeding to the other. And that I carried that confidence I carried, because in college, I was topper of that university. I was topping all my semesters. At the same time, I was in all the clubs. And when I became the Computer Society of India secretary, that CSI had the chapter in the college, and I organized the biggest exhibition in the city, and all the symposiums I used to organize. Used to get sponsorship from Bangalore, Trivandrum, Cochin. I was almost like 2.5 months traveling, being student on a business travel, to get sponsorship for college. Those days to get, so what I saw, it was not a or, it was and. I could do both. So personally, I was lucky. I could see there is a possibility that this is one boat.
Right.
When I came to my
So
industry,
just to, sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, you're talking about the mid 90s when internet and email were not a thing, right? So there was no such thing, and communication was only either face to face or over a
you
telephone,
have to
over a
visit, you have to
landline.
go. You have
Yeah.
to go, because I remember that tower in MG Road, almost every company, I did not know those companies, what they were, but I could get them, whether it was Siemens, so Motorola, for example, was Pager that time. The cellular
Yeah.
technology was not there. So Pager was there, and Mr. H.N. Mahavala, who was advisor to Infosys, he was there. So we organized all the professors coming, and everything has to be done. You have to convince them by visiting them.
Right.
I was, sleeping in those dormitories of this railway station, and then, going to these companies. So and to tell you very frankly, to do that, it is hard. Believe me, it's hard. I was
Right.
hardly sleeping. But my routine got changed because I was liking it. So, so the first criteria to make an and was what I realize now, because that time I was not able to understand it, but now I understand. When what you do meets your true nature, you will not get tired.
Right.
This I have seen. This is my personal experience. So there is a cause you want to champion. If you want to champion it just for a page 3, or just to show the world, or just to be, in that limelight, your true nature will not belong there, and you'll
Right.
get tired. Like we are doing this conversation. If I like it, I will just do it, and I will just, after switching off, I'll again go to my next work immediately. I will not have a 1% of getting tired doing this.
Yeah.
So when your true nature belongs to that cause, you will realize it by no losing of energy, rather you gain energy. You
Correct.
can do it without eating, sleeping. You can continuously able to do that. So my extracurricular activity in college was like that. And I had my own full-fledged cabin beside our principal's cabin there, where I had my computer, my printer, everything was given to me. It was amazing those days. And then that gave me the push when I came to company, Bosch. In fact,
Right.
initially I was little bit, again, because this was new for me, that was college. So I was little bit hazy, my boss will like it or not like it. And what I did? I'm a champion of skilling, I really work very hard for that, even now, even till now. So when Dr. Kalam came to our college, it was his inspiration which brought some of us together. And alumni, some of us formed that time startup culture was not there, but we formed a social startup called Prayas Bangalore. Now,
Okay.
what that used to do is we used to train the underprivileged youth, like in Simoga village near Bangalore. So a lot of places. In fact, that was the reason why I took transfer from Bangalore to Patna to make a first center there. And that is still going on. We have 2
Okay.
centers in Andhra. And when you do that, for me, that was my identity. Of course, my work was my performance. I wanted to sign there. I wanted to grow there. But then my courage, my confidence started coming that I'm doing something which others are not able to do. So that feeling I had initially, we built a school on that Hosur Road, which was inaugurated by Srinath at that time. I'm talking about 98, when I
Right.
just came out of college and I was in industry. So my boss was so happy. He gave me his laptop, said, take it, make more people into this. This is social cause. So I was lucky sometime. Of course, not all bosses were like that. The journey was
Right.
not. So, but at that moment, in fact, the chief
Mhm.
of the legal of Bosch or Myco was developing my article of association and all the trust deed and everything. So I was lucky to
Mhm.
get so much of support. And the notice board of Bosch will have our activity on that whenever we used to do. So a lot of Myco Bosch people came. We were hardly 2-3 guys, and we became in hundreds very soon. I used to have those meetings in Tipsandra, and on my cycle I used to go. So I'm just remembering what actually clicked for me.
Right.
First thing it was, if this cause was not from my heart, I could not have done that hard work. When people were going on, Brigade Road in pubs, I was not going. I was actually at that time, I did not buy my motorcycle. Everybody had that when I joined as a technical graduate trainee in Myco Bosch. But I was still very happy, sometimes happier than them on my weekends, because I was
Right.
preparing for that meeting and that presentation on that laptop. That time, laptop, not many people had that.
Yeah, yeah, it
And
was a rarity that time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a rarity. In fact, I took loan to buy my first laptop, in fact, because I felt the power of technology, what I can impact. So first is it has to be true nature, number one. Number two, there can be if you're lucky, your organization will support you. An
Right.
organization will give you credit for that. Oh, you are doing something, I'll also volunteer. So there are many organizations today, they are purpose led, and you will see that they will support you. The second option will happen, the organization will not support you. It's possible because
Yeah.
you can't do your own thing in a company. I can't do my own thing in a company. Over time, my bosses change, and also what I value the most is my personal value system. Maybe it will not match with my organizational value system, and then I left some of those value when I come to organization and work for the organization. So
Right.
this separation is very clear in many cases. So when that happens, you give your heart and soul into what you work in the company or in your own entrepreneurship or startup, but then you have to take out that much time from your other, because you work 8 hour or 10 hour or 12 hour for your job, but you still have the left of those hour can be very intensified and result oriented if your true nature match with that cause. There can be two situations. One is your organization supports what you are championing. It matches with the value system and the value you are creating there. So you are lucky. Then I don't think you have a question. You are a star there. You do what you like and you are getting paid for what you like
Right.
doing. So that's the ideal situation. Many people get it by luck. And if not, you can even eye for those jobs. Nowadays everything is open, everybody is approachable. You can approach those CEOs, you can approach those leaders, you can talk to them, go to conferences, meet them, and tell them this is what you champion. Show your passion by really working hard on that. Make something voluntary for them. When you do all of that, you will get connected with this ecosystem where what you have is valued. So one
Right.
approach is that you change yourself towards that ecosystem where you are valued. The second can be when you clearly know that you have no other option and you're stuck and your job is adding stress to you or whatever. In that case, you have to put a wall, very clear separation. Okay, this is my work, it's fine, I will do like a professional. This is why we are called professional. Whether we are ill or not ill, we have to do that job. So get it in that mode. If you are not able to create a value out of within the organization, and then whatever time you have left, now let's say 12 hours, how much you sleep, what is your discipline of your daily routine, all will get channelized if you're truly caring for that cause. The problem is how much we take out of our same time or those time, we are inefficient. If we are driven by causes which is for others. So the cause has to be your cause, because it is not about how much big impact you are able to make. It is about the direction you set. So
Right.
I always say, पहले दिशा फिर दशा. आप पूरी दशा बदल देंगे ना, everything you change. It's good to have that dream.
Right.
But even if you are able to spare 30 minutes, I still remember when I was working with Bosch, I took my, I changed my job from a headquarter. First time a TGT took a field job in market. So I went to Patna without any good career prospect. It's different matter that I clicked there also, because my belief is one feeds the other. That's my belief. And you will see you will grow in your career also. Because with cool mind, with satisfied mind, your decisions will be good. When you feel meaningful, when you feel you are a purpose-led person. So in your personal life, you are championing a cause. Let's take a personal life itself. Even for 30 minutes, that power comes back to you in your job.
Right.
And you will see that you are so at peace. You will not shout at people, you will not be cribbing, you will not be complaining, because all your energy has to be left for your personal space, where you are doing a cause, where you are working for that cause. For example, the skilling is not connected with my job, but I have been doing it continuously, and it's growing further and further. Not only in Bangalore or Simoga or Bihar, many in Andhra, with smart village concept, with UC Berkeley, with it, University of California Berkeley.
Okay.
We did smart village. We were actually a celebrated initiative. There's a book called the Heroes of Muri, and you will see mentioning of this project there, what we did.
Wonderful.
And of course, in the aftermarket, we support that training for the mechanics, for the technician. So whatever skill you have, wherever you are working, there's a way to connect that.
Right.
Either, yeah, so there's a way to connect. So it's not a or, it's an and. So my request will be, whether the organization is fully converging on that, or it has a divergence, you have a way out. If you truly, if you value that most, watch for where you are spending your money. Watch for where you are spending your time. If you're spending your money and time to exactly same cause, then you will be able to, today or tomorrow, able to make a big impact. If you are so much fragmented everywhere, you want to really have many causes, I think that is where the problem is. You might have also observed me, for years I'm consistent on my skilling and road safety.
Right.
There are many cause I feel for it, like hunger, like organ donation. I feel for it. But I think in one life, how much we can do?
Right.
Then we demotivate ourselves, because we are not able to make that impact that we can relate back and plow back that strength. So stick to, very few, not big portfolio. This is not
Right.
investing in financial instrument. You don't have to, diversify asset class. Here you should be focused on one or two, which you really, you can, not have food or sleep and still work on it. Take that, and then you will see this question of either this or that will not arise. You will see a very good convergence. That's my
Right.
experience till now.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, on this show, we were speaking with another guest who runs a software app for productivity and time management. And, one of the things that we discussed there ties in very closely with what you just mentioned, which is that, we speak a lot of times about finding our passion and finding out what we are truly interested in. From a time management and productivity standpoint, what we ended up discussing was that if you are getting distracted from what you are doing because you want to look at your mobile phone, because you want to, do an alt tab on your browser or whatever, that means this is not really of true interest to you. Because if it were, then you would have gotten immersed in it. It would have given you a lot of energy, and you would have felt that energy after completing the task, rather than actually having felt a depletion of energy because you spent some calories doing some physical or mental activity, which is, exactly what you mentioned. So I think, whether you look at it from one dimension or the other, it all kind of ties in with this whole philosophy of finding your, true interest or true purpose or true passion. And I think the biggest takeaway is reframing the problem from an or problem to an and problem, and see how we can integrate both of these things. And I love the way also you brought in skilling to the discussion, because, it's such a universal thing, and you can pretty much apply it in any job that you are in. And, also related to skills is another dimension, which I think you did not mention explicitly, but which became obvious, I think, when one was listening to you, is that as a result of following your passion over all these years, you would have developed so many skills which would have taken years and only subject to getting the right opportunity in a corporate. For example, going to people, meeting new people, and selling your idea to them is a quintessential selling skill. But you do not do that, if you are in a production or a shop floor kind of role. Then, in your corporate life, you will not have the tag of having a selling skill or a business development skill. But in a social cause, because you have to sell your idea or concept to people, it essentially gives you those skills which are most valued in, corporate life. So whether your corporate supports you or doesn't, in either case, you are the beneficiary, because not only are you doing what you like, but you're also developing skills which are invariably going to be valued by the corporate world.
In fact, that's very good two distinction you brought here, and I must emphasize on that. What you said, na, that don't leave your skilling and such an important thing of your productivity to an employer.
Right.
Generally, in India, what happens? You don't become responsible for your growth after your first college degree. You think the employer will send me for training, employer will give me productivity tool. You don't invest onto yourself. Even before you start putting a fixed deposit or a equity or a mutual fund or ETF, I think the first thing is to start growing your income and your employability by investing onto those skills yourself. Not that the HR will do it, somebody else will make a career plan for you. Take charge, take that responsibility. And the second thing is, if you are truly, for that you are motivated and it is moving you, then you will find that and it is not or. You will find a way. And today there are so many choices, Rajiv. Look at, you can actually die in your company with a lot of pressure, but when you are earning money from it, you invest that money into that championship. And every money you earn here will make you happy because you're earning it for putting into that championship. That putting that money into a startup who is solving what you wanted to solve. You have so many options today that you can actually barter your time. If you're not able to give your time, you can give your money. If you are able to give time and you don't have money, somebody else will put the money. So today, so much collaboration is possible. Your mindset has to say it's possible. And believe me, I have seen it is possible. I have many challenges. I think people don't see what's underneath my own day-to-day life. But there's a huge challenges every year, every month, even now. But then you find a way because your mindset says there is always a possibility of and. And that belief pulls you to a new model. Not only business model, even your life model changes. In your first 10 years was a different model. I mean, my next 10 years was different. Today, my model is very different. And you orient itself in a way that your and is still existing and kicking actually. So it's fully doable and possible.
Right. So yeah, on that note, Rama, I think the and that we got is that we wanted to speak about, road safety and related things, and we got a lot more about, how to think about your career, how to think about skilling, and how to contribute, and how to bring an and instead of an or, and so many other things. So on that complimentary note of and, thank you, Rama, so much for sharing your thoughts with our platform and with our audience. And since we are on the theme of and, if anybody wants to help and join these noble causes, and if you do not have enough, time or initiative, you can associate with other people who are doing great work in this domain. If it's road safety, of course, you need not look any further. But if it is anything else, then look out for people, get involved in that environment, as Rama mentioned earlier in the conversation, and you will always find opportunities to do great work. So with that, Rama, thank you once again.
Thanks a lot, Rajiv. Thank you so much. All the best to all the viewers. I think everybody's journey is unique. The belief that you will win in that journey, the championship of your causes will happen. With that belief, good luck.